Our study aims to answer the question, do civil liberties catalyze measurable environmentalist efforts? To perform this study, we use datasets from the Cato Institute's Human Freedom Index, along with the World Bank's CO2 emissions dataset. After wrangling the data, we were able to compare the two datasets, and we chose meaningful indices which we thought would be most interesting to study. Specifically, we performed analyses on things like freedom of expression on the internet, freedom of business regulation, things of that nature.
All right, so we also conducted some more statistical analyses using correlation heat maps, and also other plots like ReLU and linear regression plots using Python Seaborn package. And as you can see, we get some very interesting conclusions determined from this from these plots. Yes. And so after conducting these descriptive statistics, we also conducted some modeling using 3 different models, using ridge regression, linear regression, and random forest regressor. And after running these models on a 70-30 split of the trained test data sets, we concluded that the linear regression model was the most accurate with a variance of 0.945 and a mean square error of 1.694. And so as we conduct feature importance for our random forest regressor model, we determined that that the rule of law was actually considered the most important when trying to predict CO2 emissions. And so in a conclusion, we noticed that in terms of personal freedom, freedom of speech and media showed actually very little correlation with CO2, while economic freedom is actually directly proportional to CO2 emissions. In fact, most CO2 emissions actually come from mostly like private firms, and so there's actually less initiation to actually curb them. And most surprisingly, there was very little correlation between freedom of expression and information with CO2 emissions. So one of our limitations for the study, however, is just that the Cato Institute, where we got this data set, was mostly libertarian views, which could have actually negatively affected the data collection and freedom index for each country. Yes, thank you.